Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this month's Craft Corner. I'm super excited about our crafts for today. We're going to be doing ones that all have the heart shape. So when we think about February, sometimes we think about Valentine's Day, right? And Valentine's Day, when you give Valentine's and have a party maybe, or you get candy. But here's the thing. We think about love around Valentine's Day, and I'm thinking about how awesome God's love is for you and me. When I think about the shape of the heart, I think about what God wants to do to our hearts through His Spirit at work inside of us, through having a relationship with us, so that then what are we here on this earth for? Oh, to love God and to love others. We're here to love. So the heart always reminds me of God's love for us and how we get to then love Him in return and love others. So I'm going to show you our first activity. So I've kind of started this one already. So I'm going to bring you down here. I made some salt dough. So salt dough is kind of like a homemade clay that you can make. And if you want to make it at home, what it is it's 1 cup of flour, so for about this much, okay? So you might want to double the recipe depending on how many you want to make. But it's 1 cup of flour, 1/4 cup of salt, and then 1/4 cup of water, and then you start mixing, and see, even mine's a little bit dry still, so you start just add a little bit of water as you go until it gets to a good consistency. So that's why I'm doing that over my pan here. And then you get to mix it and knead it until it's nice and smooth. And so I was thinking about the Bible verse we looked at in our Yellow Chair devotionals where it compared God to being a potter and we are the clay. And it reminded me of a song. Maybe you know the song, "Change my heart, oh God, make it ever true. Change my heart, oh God, may I be like you. You are the potter, I am the clay. Mold me and make me, this is what I pray. Change my heart, oh God, make it ever true. Whoop. Change my heart, oh God, may I be like you." All right, so you can see here that I'm rolling it all out, and you want to get it kind of thin and whatever chunks you want. So I'm just going to do a little bit here. And then I had actually some heart-shaped cookie cutters, but you could just draw a heart with like a pencil or a spoon and cut it out, whatever you wanted to do. But then I'm going to cut out my heart here, kind of like when you're making sugar cookies. I'm going to cut that out with my cookie cutter, and here's my heart. And now, what are some things that I could do with this? Well, I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going to take a drinking straw, and I'm going to poke a hole here right at the top. And then when these dry, I can hang a string through there. And I could make a garland of these, or I could hang them somewhere as a gift to someone. Maybe we make some for family members or church family or something where they can hang it off of their rear view mirror in their car. Some of you might have stamps at home where you could stamp a message in here, or you could write it really careful. Maybe you want to do a fingerprint in there, whatever you wanted to do to decorate your hearts. So you could do this with lots of shapes. It doesn't have to just be hearts. But what happens then is you can let these dry overnight, or you can bake them in the oven. You can bake them in the oven for an hour at 300 degrees. Just kind of keep an eye on them, adults, because if they start turning brown, we're good to go. Okay, so just kind of keep an eye on them. You can even flip them in the middle. But the ones, I'm going to show you the ones that I did last night. So here you can see here, let me see if we can get rid of some of this glare. All right, and there's our hearts. Now, mine aren't completely dry yet, so I'm not gonna paint it. But once it's all dry, you can paint it however you want, and you could decorate it. You could put glitter. I don't know if maybe adults want some glitter in their house around this time of year, but we can paint these, we can write a message on them, whatever you wanted to do. The other thing you can do afterwards is you could take Mod Podge or a watered down glue and you can put that over the top of the paint, and that kind of seals it and gives it a gloss. But then, so here's the ones that I made last night, and I can string these all together. So I made a big one and a medium-sized one and a little one, and I thought about like stringing them together so that I could hang them in a window maybe, or as a gift to someone. So you can really be creative with this. Again, mine are almost dry but not quite, and I don't want to risk starting to paint on them and then them getting goopy because they're not dry yet. So maybe I'll even just toss these in an oven for a little bit. So that is our first activity, is our salt dough hearts, right? And the recipe for the salt dough is in the video description below. Okay, the next one that we're gonna look at here, I'm gonna put some water on my hands and kind of wash them off. The next one that we're gonna do here has to do with paper hearts. Look at all of these paper hearts that I've been cutting out of construction paper. So many. I made bigger ones and medium ones and little itty bitty ones, all the colors that you can imagine. And so how do we cut out a paper heart? So I've got some paper here. All we gotta do is we fold it. You can fold it and then we cut on the fold. We cut on the fold. So maybe you wanted to trace half a heart. Maybe I want to take and I kind of want to trace a half of a heart shape. Maybe you just want to freehand it and just take scissors and just start imagining a heart shape and kind of cut just half of a heart shape. And again, going back to our song about how God wants to change our hearts. Now this one turned out pretty good. That didn't turn out too shabby, did it? Some of these, when I would cut them out, I'd go, well, that one doesn't, that's kind of a funky shaped heart. So then how do I fix it? Well, maybe I go, well, these parts here are too long. So I take my scissors and I can change my heart, right? Our hearts can always be changed. God wants to change our hearts from the inside out. It's nothing that we do. It's God, the potter, God being the scissors, whatever it might be, to change our hearts. So once you have explored cutting out all sorts of amazing hearts, I want you to use your imagination and be creative with me. You're gonna need a glue stick, and you're gonna think of, how could I make animals out of these hearts? How could I make animals? And so I was playing around with some earlier and I came up with an idea, okay? So I've got my big orange heart here. I've got a big orange heart, and then I've got some smaller orange hearts, and I'm gonna put those up here like ears. What do you think? Does that kind of, if we use our imagination, look like an ear? Or should I go that way? No, I think I like it this way. But it's up to you, right? This is where you get to be creative. You get to be the artist. Okay, so then I'm just gonna put some glue on, and I'm gonna put these on like ears. And then I'm going to add a little bit of an accent by putting a white in the middle too. There's my white hearts that I cut out, and those I had to make a little bit smaller, didn't I? So that's where we can always change our hearts. We can always change our hearts. Then I was thinking, what if we went sideways like this, right? Or what do you think? How should I do it to make it kind of look like a face? To make it look like a face? Kind of, when I was playing with these, I was like, you know, these kind of look like a fox, or they could kind of look like a deer, couldn't they? There's kind of lots of animals that could have these colors. But again, these are my white hearts. Kind of adding some color to my face. And now I'm gonna add some little hearts to kind of be my eyes. And then I don't have any of those googly eyes, but I thought googly eyes would be fun on these too. Googly eyes can be kind of fun. And then what about a nose? Here's my little black heart nose that I'm gonna put here. Okay, so now, since I don't have googly eyes, I'm gonna just take a white crayon and draw an eye there for my deer or my fox. What do you think? And then I'm gonna take a marker and maybe just make this look like that. What do you think? What do you think? Is it more of a deer or more of a fox? What kind of vibe are we getting from this one? But I'm gonna show you some others that I came up with. All made out of hearts, all made out of my different paper hearts. Okay, so you can be so creative by going, what animals could we make? So here's one that I made. It's a pig. Look at that, all made out of hearts. Here my heart is upside down for the feet. Here's my heart right side up, but my ears are upside down, aren't they? And my nose, and I kind of gave it the little pig nostrils. But I was just thinking, if I used different colors, I could use kind of the same idea to make a cat, couldn't I? Like if I used orange or black or stripes for a cat, I would just maybe change how I drew the nose. Maybe I would do my nose with some whiskers, kind of like this one. And then maybe layer something in the ears to make it look like a cat. But there's so many animals we can make with our paper hearts. All right, so there's my pig. Oh, maybe I should add a squiggly tail to him. Then I have this guy. I made my bumblebee. And this is just yellow and black and blue hearts. So I layered all of these hearts. You can kind of see on the back how I glued those down. Once I got one heart, the shape that I wanted, then I used it as a tracer, as a guide for cutting out my other ones so that they matched. And then all I did was I layered them up like our bumblebee stripes. I used blue hearts that I turned sideways to be the wings. And then I gave little heart antennas up on top. All right, so there's my heart bumblebee. Here's my puppy dog. All right, so here, look on the back. There's my upside down white heart, isn't it? Then for my ears here, I cut a heart in half. Oh no, the heartbreak. My heart is broken. It's torn in two. I cut a heart in half, and this is one half of a heart for this ear, and this is another half. But then here's my little heart nose. Then I added a tongue. Again, this would have been fun if I had googly eyes, huh? But you could also do this with different colors, right? Like what color dog would you want to make? Maybe with different shades of brown, maybe a golden retriever. All sorts of imagination possible here with how you might want to make these. And here's my final favorite one that I made. Is a frog. Look at this frog made out of paper hearts. So here's one heart, two hearts glued together with a heart on top for the head. And then for its feet, I turned two littler hearts upside down. Look at these little heart lips on our frog. And then little heart eyes with again, a googly would be fun there, wouldn't it? All right, but there's my frog. So look at all of these animals. So imagine just exploring, making different hearts, and then going, what type of animal could I make with these? So many fun things we could do, and I would love to see how yours turn out, because there's so many animals. How would you make an elephant? What do you think? How could you make an elephant out of hearts? What about a lion with the mane? Maybe by layering some yellow and orange. What's your favorite animal? Think about your favorite animal. How could you make it out of hearts? A cow, a moose. Oh man, it's so much fun. You could do this for days. It's really, really fun. So there's one project you can do where you're just cutting out paper hearts. If one doesn't end up the size you want it and you want to make it smaller, you just change it, just like God wants to change our hearts. All right, our final one is probably our trickier one. It has some painting involved, all right? So you're gonna want cardstock or like watercolor paint. And for this one, we're gonna use watercolors. You can use any paints, tempera paints, acrylic. So up to you, but here's the deal. I want you to imagine that your piece of paper is long ways, right? And I want you to imagine an imaginary line down the middle. And think about our color wheel, especially for those of you who are a little bit older and have been learning all about the color wheel. We have warm colors and we have cool colors. Think about it. What are some warm colors? Because we're going to put warm colors on half and cool colors on the other half. So it's cold outside right now, and so I think, when I think of cold, I think of blue. All right? Now you can make fancy designs, ladies and gentlemen. I am just going to show you just some of these colors though. All right, here's another blue that I have. Kind of looks the same though, but I'm wetting my brush each time to blend it. What about some purple? Okay, so purple is kind of a cool color. Here's another purple. And we're just going to start blending these colors together. Because when we think, maybe you've played around with this, when you start mixing paint colors, if we start mixing too many crazy paint colors, especially across the color wheel, what happens if I just started mixing all of these colors together? I would get brown. Oh, we start mixing them all together. Maybe you've done this with paints. Maybe you've done it with Play-Doh. You start mixing them all and you just end up with brown. So that's why on this one side, we're gonna stick to our cooler colors. So I don't have any pink, but you can see where some of my blue and purple is blending and becoming kind of a pink. You could make a winter scene. You could draw whatever you wanted with your cool colors. All right, so that's all I'm gonna do on that side. Now we need to do our warm colors. Warm colors, well, let's think here. What about orange? Orange is a warm color, isn't it? So let's put some orange over here. What's another warm color when you think the hottest day in summer? How about red? Should we get some red? Bring in the red. What about green? Is green a warm color or a cool color? I kind of think of green as a cool color. I'm adding yellow to my warm color side over here, some bright yellow. I love the color yellow. So maybe if I wanted to, I could just add a little bit of green over there. Oh, that's kind of a fun look, huh? Just kind of add some green stripes across. So you're just gonna create whatever you want with your warm and cool colors, and you can bring your colors all the way together in the middle, all right? So have fun exploring with that. Then this has to dry, all right? Has to dry. So you're gonna let it dry for a bit, and I'm gonna show you one of mine that I have dry. So look at this one that I made, okay? So this one I kind of did dots. Or a lot of just like brush. And on my warm colors, I went this way, up and down, and on my cool colors, I went sideways, didn't I? But you're even with this one, right? We're gonna let it dry, and then when it's dry, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna fold it in half, okay? So we're gonna fold it in half so that we've got our warm side and our cool side. Warm side and our cool side. And then maybe you're thinking we're gonna cut a heart. Well, you could. That could be kind of cool if you wanted to try that. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut almost like a half circle. So kind of just watch what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna cut up along my side, and then we're gonna do a curve along the top. When I was thinking about this, I thought, you know, it kind of is gonna look like a jellyfish. Think about a jellyfish has kind of the curved top, and then I'm gonna cut along the other side. All right, so now I've got my two sides, and now still holding them together, I'm going to make 3 cuts. Just going up here, 3 cuts. And this can be hard sometimes because my paper's thicker, so you might need a little bit of help. So see why it kind of reminds me of a jellyfish with the tendrils? But now I'm gonna move this water so I don't bump it. We're gonna take them apart, And here's my cool side, and here's my warm side. Now we're gonna weave them together. Weave them together, okay? So this means we're gonna go every other. So I'm gonna go over, under, over, under. Then I'm gonna take my next one's gonna start under, over, under, over. Then this one's gonna go over, under, over, under. And then finally, under, over, under, over. And here my heart is woven together. Look at that. And look at our warm and our cold colors bringing that together. Isn't that so pretty? So then we can take a little bit of glue and glue down our extra edges, or I'm just gonna flip it over and just take a few pieces of tape and just kind of hold down my pieces here. Hold those down so that they don't go anywhere. But this also reminds me of not only does God want to change our hearts, He wants to weave His heart and ours together. When we have a relationship with Jesus, when we say, Jesus, I'm in, I want to be your friend. Will you teach me how to be your friend? He's going to weave His heart together with ours. Isn't that a beautiful thing to imagine? Our heart and Jesus's, oh, it's like holding hands with God, right? The Spirit's at work in our hearts. We are woven together, all part of God's family. Our hearts are God's heart because we have had Him change our hearts from the inside out. The Bible talks about how He wants to put a new heart inside of us, and that's through weaving His heart together with ours. I'll show you this other one that I made when I was experimenting with this one. This is one where I kind of went crazy, like this one here. You can see my colors woven together. But I hope you have fun making these. They're so pretty when they're all done. But again, they remind us of God's amazing love for us, how He wants to have that internal relationship with us. It doesn't matter if we are like our salt dough, right? And He's molding us and making us. He is the potter and we are the clay. It could be like our fun animals, like my frog, where we get to see the love of God through nature and creation and creativity and imagination and fun, because God created all of those things. Or it could be the fact that He wants to weave His heart together with ours because He loves us that much. All right, so I hope you have a wonderful February. I hope you have a wonderful time remembering God's love for us and that you have fun with these crafts. All right, so send me pictures. Again, all of the supplies and information are in the video description below, and I will see you next time.